Hi guys, Assalamualaikum. Welcome back to Call of Cthulhu Part 3. Aku nak continue saja. Okay, enter mana? Tatang. Dah macam Pirate of Caribbean dah.
Who goes there? That nightmare again. I need a drink.
Okay.
Fine. You're awake, Mr. Pierce. How do you feel?
I need a drink.
Did I sleep long?
The day is only starting. It's fine.
How's our fugitive? Dr. Fuller hasn't reported your disappearance to the force, but that'll come soon.
Bradley?
Who else would it be?
Mr. Pierce, are you all right? You look like you saw a ghost.
There are things I can't explain.
Tell us. What happened?
What I'm sure of now is that the Hawkins case isn't just an accident.
And what brings you to that conclusion?
The fact that Charles Hawkins survived the fire.
I don't understand. Mr. Hawkins was buried.
That's what he would have you believe.
I have a hard time believing you.
You were there, Bradley. You even opened fire on him.
I'd remember that.
Why would he fake his own death? Do you think he covered up his wife's murder?
That's possible.
Seems hard to swallow. Don't you have anything more concrete, Pierce?
Bradley, what do you remember?
I don't understand your question.
The night we went into the Hawkins mansion. You don't seem to remember the tunnels and what occurred there.
No memory of going down any tunnel. No, we were in the manor, then,
Then what?
The rest is quite blurry. I don't recall how I came back home.
And then?
I went to visit you at the hospital and called on Marie's help to get you released.
And you don't remember the events of the tunnel?
I don't. Let's talk about something else.
I heard you talking earlier.
Why am I not surprised?
I get the impression you two don't get along.
Intrusive and not very clever. Anyway, let's get back to the business at hand.
I saw people in hoods. They had stolen Mrs. Hawkins' paintings.
Who are you talking about? Why would they do such a thing?
I don't know, but they were a threat. They've taken over the caves under the mansion. They were performing some kind of ritual. One of the entryways was under Charles Hawkins' office.
We suspect Mr. Hawkins of being involved.
My patients believe the old islanders used to worship primitive sea gods. Could they be the focus of the cult?
Am I hearing this right?
So you think me gullible?
No, not at all.
What else did you uncover, Mr. Pierce?
I have flashbacks. They haunt me.
What did they do to you?
There was that Dr. Fuller and a nurse. Blood everywhere. My legs, the pain, I couldn't bear it. I was screaming. They injected me with something. I woke up at the institute. Bradley was there.
And how you scared us. You seemed demented.
You likely woke up during the anesthesia. No wonder those memories haunt you. What in God's name were they doing to you?
What happened afterwards?
When I woke up the second time, I was in a padded cell. That's where you found me, Doctor. After you released me, I got a good look at what's in store for the patients of the Riverside Institute. Hallucinogenic gas pumped into the cells. An infernal machine. Horrific medical experiments.
Impossible. Dr. Fuller would never do such a thing.
You should believe it, Ethan. What Mr. Pierce saw is precisely what I've been trying to prove. Did you discover anything else?
I met a Francis Sanders. Do you know him?
Of course, he's a patient. Or was. I haven't seen him since Dr. Fuller had him transferred to the basement.
He knew Sarah Hawkins, and that's what killed him.
What? How did he die?
I'm not sure I can explain it.
Tell me how Mr. Sanders died.
I didn't see what, but something was there with us.
Of what do you speak?
Sanders said it was Sarah Hawkins' visitor. He spoke of it like a living being.
Sarah Hawkins? Have I missed something here? This makes no sense. I don't see how it can help crack the Hawkins case.
You really think she's involved? How could she have murdered Mr. Sanders?
Francis Sanders mentioned Mrs. Hawkins just before dying. It's no coincidence.
You know, Francis Sanders was a well-known art collector. I guess you can still pay a visit to his wife, Irene Sanders.
An art collector, you say? That's probably how they met.
If you plan on having dinner at the Sanders household, please spare the widow the tale of her late husband's suffering.
I don't agree. She deserves the truth.
But that truth may be biased. We don't know the bottom of it.
He's right. We can't ignore the truth.
But it could drive her mad.
Better madness than ignorance. Very well. I'll go to see Francis's widow. Perhaps I'll find a link between her husband's death and Sarah Hawkins.
Choices
Don't
matter
end up
punya
in the
game.
hospital this time.
I'll do my best.
Oh no. But I should get some brain. Strength dah banyak dah. Maybe a bit of eloquence, a bit of investigation, spot hidden. Okay, very dead. Sanity. Oh, the weirdness of Francis Sanders' death went far beyond anything Pierce had ever seen. Lifted off his feet by an invisible force, the poor man's body was carried into the air before being thrown violently against the bars of his hiding place. Pierce, powerless, watched the limbs break and Sanders' body crumble to the ground. During long moments of agony, the detective saw nothing that could explain this event. Weakened by his wounds and the operation he could remember undergoing, Pierce begins to question his ability to tell the difference between reality and the nightmares that haunt him. Searching through the cellars of the Riverside Institute, Pierce entered a room that he first took for a morgue, but the advanced state of decay of the corpses that lay about the place quickly made him realize that he was wrong. Nothing could justify the presence of such a charnel house in a hospital. The putrid smell and the total absence of respect for human life as witnessed by this room profoundly shocked Pierce, costing him some of his sanity. In the tunnels under the Hawkins mansion, Pierce witnessed the disemboweling of Officer Bradley by a man with a monstrous appearance. The men in gowns and their rituals had not succeeded succeeded in affecting the veteran. However, the brutal death of Bradley, the discovery of the identity of his killer, whom he recognized as the dead Charles Hawkins, as well as the latter's superhuman strength, managed to strike fear into him. Pierce still does not know if he should believe what he saw. He may even put these visions of horror to the shock caused by the death of Bradley, or he may put it down to a lack of oxygen provoked by the rock fall. The Last Supper. Since the fire in the Hawkins mansion, the dining room has remained intact. The settings allow the places occupied by the family members to be determined. Visibly, etiquette was respected even in private. Charles Hawkins sat at the head of the table with wife and son on either side. The knock of a chair could be due to something that happened after the fire, or it could confirm the theory of a domestic argument. Clearly, the roast was untouched in certain plates. The meat, mysteriously preserved since then, seems to have been the subject of the dispute between the Hawkins couple. According to the police report, this lamp is the cause of the accidental fire that destroyed the mansion. However, blood stains on the debris tell a very different story. The glass of this heavy clock is broken and the hands show 10 o'clock. It could give the time of the fire or have nothing to do with it. A partly burned shoe. It seemed like it belonged to Sarah Hawkins. Contradicting the police report, the Hawkins drawing room tells a totally different version of the fire that claimed the whole family, beginning with the presence of a handprint that throws out the possibility of a survivor. The bodies of Charles and Sarah Hawkins left no mark on the floor, nor, to that matter, is in the drawing room. Contrary to that of the child, still visible close to the fireplace. The same goes for the glass shards on the floor. A close inspection reveals that the presence of blood on several of them. On the wall, the very clear mark left by the painting found in the Hawkins warehouse confirms that the Hawkins case could be much more than a domestic accident. Banyaknya. In the little boy's room, an abandoned book on the bed and toys scattered on the ground talk about the everyday life of a normal family, but the disturbing drawings and the sleeping pills raise suspicions that even Simon Hawkins may have been suffering from mental illness. Was the boy able to see things like her mother pretended to be? Barbiturates. They act as a depressant of the nervous system, but once you begin, you can never live without them. Of that I know something. The shrine antechamber hidden at the entrance to the network of caves raised new questions. The presence of a table and 3 chairs led to the belief that Charles Hawkins used the place for meetings in small groups. The existence of objects with esoteric connotations is more worrying since they lead to the impression that we may be in the presence of a cult. Moreover, the torn fabric revealing Sarah Hawkins' presence in the place does raise questions. Was she in danger because she discovered this tunnel? The image of a strange creature has been carved into this whalebone. In the cellars of the Riverside Institute, in one of the cells of the asylum, the same symbol written in black chalk and repeated over and over again on the padded walls does make one think. It represents a 5-pointed star with in its center what could be a twig, a branch, or a feather. A few cryptic phrases could accompany the drawings, but they do not seem to have a logical meaning. There is mention of a look, a portal, and a painting. Finally, the patient's file, which fell when the guards tried to take him out, revealed that he received a visit from Sarah Hawkins. Psychosis, attack of delirium. Wife of Francis Sanders. Ni tak ada lagi. Okay. Knowledge. Ship owner. Charles Hawkins is alive. Despite its crude and deformed appearance, this thing looked like Hawkins. He attacked Bradley after he recognized him. What could have happened to Charles on the night of the fire? I've never seen a badger burns victim in such a state. Something's not right. Officer Bradley Murray. Female's friend works as a general practitioner at the Riverside Institute. She had figured out long before I arrived that Fuller was involved in illegal activities. She wants to shed full light on the nature of his experiments and believed that helping me to solve the Hawkins case could advance her own investigation. Francis Sanders knew Sarah Hawkins so well that he accused her of being the source of his suffering. The man gouged his eyes out with his own hands and smeared the walls of his cell with esoteric symbols. He seemed to be obsessed with a Shambler linked to Sarah Hawkins. He died before my eyes in circumstances that I cannot explain. Dr. Fuller reigns as the undisputed master of the Riverside Institute and of its cellars, in which he carries out illegal experiments on his patients. I don't know what he has done to me, but I shouldn't be back on my feet so soon after my fall when the tunnels under the Hawkins mansion cave in. This man is dangerous, and I swear that he knows more about all these businesses than he's willing to tell. Apa boleh baca kot yang ni? Kenapa nak baca? But because the Hawkins mansion was hiding such big and intricate tunnels underneath, it seemed to be the hideout of a cult of some kind. I can't believe Sarah and Simon lived right over such danger without knowing anything. When I woke up, I was immediately transferred into the cellars of the institute, a sort of clandestine asylum. Where Dr. Fuller carried out his clandestine patient without being troubled. Unknown machines sit beside anatomical drawings that are disturbing to say the least. I just managed to escape from this place. I might not have as much luck another time. Sleeping corpses. They are laid out on frozen stone. One will say that they are dead, but their bodies do not decompose. Are they in some form of coma? One thing is sure, these men were subjected to a type of treatment that changed their physical characteristic. I'm not sure that we can still call them men. Extract from the notebook of Edward Pierce, private detective. A tribe of men, worshippers of the sea and its benefits, landed on the shores of an island surrounded by dark waters. They were discovered by the creatures some call the devourers of whales. For years, the creature hunted them down into their dreams until their weakened minds surrendered. Following the creature's order, they sunk into the dark waters surrounding the island and never came back. If the creature is not yet anchored in our dimension, an explosion ritual might work as long as the person performing it makes sure that he integrates the elder sign among the glyphs that make up the ceremonial circle. Be careful though, because the works that describe the creation of such circles are not all of proven reliability. Okay, nice. Namanya. Hi.
Let us go now and learn the truth about what's happening on this island.
The other night's events are still confused in my head.
Don't have a drink, tak nak mabuk. Dr. Sanders video. Maybe aku boleh check Bilik lift. Lift ke atas. Oh, mana-mana je lift. Sanders' residence. Pierce, Colden and Bradley decided to team up to solve the Sarah Hawkins case. They have a new trail to follow. Francis Sanders, an art collector and friend of the painter who died right in front of Pierce. The detective goes to his house in order to speak to his widow about the Shambler that the unfortunate man mentioned before he died. Actually, aku tak tahu game ni macam choices matter. Kiranya kalau antara satu dua aku pilih tu, kemungkinan ada bad ending.
What can I do for you, sir?
Mrs. Sanders, I'm a private detective. We must talk about your husband and his ties to Sarah Hawkins. Can I come in?
You may. However, before we go any further, please know that my husband died yesterday.
That is precisely what brings me
Hey,
Well, well, look who's here. You know each other.
We met briefly. Time enough to iron out a few matters. The main thing is that we understood one another. The brave detective has a talent for sticking his nose into my business.
I bump into her every time I'm investigating someone's death.
It's a small island, detective. My island. It's better that it's you bumping into me.
You're investigating Francis' death. Why? Who hired you?
I spoke to
Myself.
Francis before he died. His story suggests a link to a case I'm working on.
Well, since this business has got nothing to do with me, I'll be in your husband's office, Irene. We'll carry on later.
Very well, Miss Baker. This way, Mr. Pierce. And do make yourself comfortable. It would seem that you have much to tell me.
ooh, the sheriff.
May I inquire as to when you had the opportunity to talk to my husband?
Yesterday, I met him at the hospital. He spoke to me about Sarah Hawkins.
Oh, of course he spoke to you about her. That's all he talked about. Sarah Hawkins and her paintings. Please forgive my tone. The fact is that I have not been allowed to see him since he was interned. You, on the other hand, a perfect stranger, were able to see him and even talk with him the day he died. How was he? Were you present when he had this attack? What happened?
What happened to your husband is terrible, Mrs. Sanders. But from what I saw, it was inevitable. The man I met yesterday had lost his reason. He suffers no longer, if you would allow me such a platitude.
Of course. Thank you for your kind words. Nobody in that hospital would have deigned to speak them to me. However, it will require more than that to soothe my mind. I need to understand. How could this happen? In a reputed institute? And right before your eyes? Did you not do anything to help him?
Oh my god. Boleh 50 kan? Oh, kan.
It's terrible what happened to your husband, but I had nothing to do with it. I was injured, and I came across him in the hospital quite by chance.
Injured? Well, I'm delighted to see you in such fine fettle, Detective. Not everybody enjoyed such a prompt recovery.
I suppose Fuller does do miracles now and again.
Luck is obviously very kind to you. Oh, I'm tired, Mr. Pierce. I would be grateful if you could tell me what you expect of me, and then leave.
How did you come to meet Sarah Hawkins?
We were the wealthiest and most influential families on Darkwater. Of course we would know each other. And when Charles returned from Europe with his sweet little artist, she and her sinister paintings were destined to catch my husband's eye. He bought many of her works over the last 5 years. They adorn his macabre gallery.
May I ask you what Miss Baker is doing here? How do you know her?
My business with Miss Baker is private, Mr. Pierce.
But you do know what kind of business Miss Baker is in, don't you?
I am no fool. Please believe that much, at least.
Did your husband talk to you about Sarah Hawkins' visitor? A Shambler, to use his precise terms.
Well, you can imagine that's all he talked about. It's exhibited at the center of the gallery. No better place for the painting that endowed him with the privilege of such a shameful and miserable end to his life.
Hold on. The Shambler is a painting by Sarah Hawkins.
Who else to paint such horrors? Take a look for yourself, if you feel so inclined.
It is my only lead at this stage. I suppose I have nothing to lose.
Then you have paid no heed. For my part, I refuse to set foot in that gallery again. But if you are so eager to see it...
Thank you, Mrs. Sanders. I won't be long.
Oh, ada satu. Very eloquence. Yes. Apa ni buat psikologi. Oh, aku nak baca sebenarnya dia punya. It's clear that she holds Sarah Hawkins responsible for the death of her husband, but what I don't understand about Irene Sanders is this mix of sadness and insensitivity. It looks like she had given up on her husband long before his horrid death in the cellars of the Riverside Institute. Oh. Can I take...
Did she really care for him after all?
Dear Madam, I acknowledge receipt of the letter in which you demand the body of your deceased husband. I'm sorry to inform you that I cannot agree to return his body to you. At the moment of his interment, you signed a discharge allowing me to dispose of his body as I see fit. Mana nak baginya? Tengoklah. Mayat pun dah mesti dah ni buat macam-macam eksperimen.
The day the Shambler came into the Sanders' lives.
A photograph of Sarah Hawkins next to the Sanders. They must be close. Oh. Right.
Frances Sanders and Sarah Hawkins were close. Friends, even? A house of artists. A house of artists. Sanders' accession register. He wrote beside the Shambler, "Finally." What did Sarah Hawkins fear so much that she didn't want to sell the painting? He finally won. Was Sanders aware of his imminent doom? She first refused to sell the painting. How did that make her feel? Was she jealous of Sarah Hawkins?
Oh my god.
The Shambler. I need to see it.
Okay. Masuk rumah dia jelajah habis. Korset habis. Painting, wow. Macam istana. Kebanyakan painting dia macam ni. Gaspard Standard Pornography. Ooh. Gerak.
Let's see what this cylinder has to say once it's inserted in a phonograph.
Sender Session 1. Irene. I think Irene.
I made a mistake. I fear that it might be too late for me. Nobody should enter, except to burn everything. I never had the courage. Pay somebody to do it. He's inside my head. I see him behind my eyelids each time I shut my eyes. I can't take any more. I can't hold him back. Forgive me.
That accursed gallery. Those accursed paintings. That accursed Sarah.
Tengkorak. Ombak ke ni? Bukit. Oh.
I could use one of those.
Semua pakai sleeping pills yang sama. Tak pelik apa? Memanglah sleeping pill yang sama tapi kenapa semua orang nak makan sleeping pills?
Strange. For months, Sarah Hawkins refused to part with her painting, to finally give it away for nothing.
Dear Francis, I beg you to give up all hope of ever owning this accursed painting. If our friendship has any meaning for you, please spare me the weight of guilt. I cannot be the architect of your fall. I beg you, my dear friend, forget the Shambler. Your friend, Sarah Hawkins. Clues.
Another volume of the Reverend's wife's diary.
This volume spends some time on Reverend Wickwood's community. His wife expresses her worries about the strange dreams that the Reverend's congregations are having since their arrival on the island. Some members of the community, her husband included, began to speak of the vision as a messenger sent by God. She is scared that they will suffer the same fate as the lost tribe. Oh, strength. Kunci.
A strange Amerindian pendant.
Amerindian. Oh, aku ambil. Dia berapa ambil? It's on gallery. The wheel on the court. A Brief History of Dark Water by Reverend Greenmouth. It is to focus on the past glory of the island. Okay, nice. Dissertation on an anatomical question. Wait.
That's twice you've stepped on my toes, Detective. Try not to make a habit of it.
I've got a lot of bad habits.
Some can be more fatal than others. What have you come looking for in this gallery?
I'm not here to cause trouble, if that's what's worrying you.
Worry me? Don't overestimate yourself. If the last beating wasn't enough for you, I can always give it another go. But as long as you keep out of my way, you're free to carry on with your visit.
There's more than that, Miss Baker.
So people have been talking behind my back. I was almost beginning to like you, Mr. Pierce. But it stays cat for you.
You knew the Sanders?
Irene is a friend of mine.
And you? What brings you to the Sanders home?
I'm here on business. Irene asked me to liquidate all these paintings. She doesn't intend to hang around here for long.
Why you?
Believe it or not, there aren't many collectors on Darkwater. It needs someone with a network and a means of transport to the mainland. A choice that comes down to Fitzroy and me. And I'm far more pleasant, wouldn't you say?
I don't think so.
Not now, sweetheart. I'd like to read this without some snoop looking over my shoulder.
It is kind of encyclopedia of monstrous and unknown creatures. I'm beginning to believe that it exists. Okay, baca. Tak baca pun. Malleus Bestiarum by tak disebut. Oh my god. Kena bisikkan. Pierce read an ancient treatise, the Malleus Bestiarum. This bestiary makes an inventory of numerous creatures from the occult world of parallel dimensions. The very nature of its knowledge makes it an unholy book. By reading it, Pierce lost some of his sanity. Mental trauma. Man will gather the knowledge through the lines dictated to me by the great old ones, but also in other volumes. The visions that assail me whisper me names and silhouette of mystical creatures. Soon the Malleus Monstrorum, repository of all anatomical, cosmic, and dimensional knowledge, will be seen as the authoritative work. This book, unholy among the most cursed books, will one day be the final rampart between man and the predators that are waiting to devour him, hidden behind the veil of parallel dimensions. Abigail G. The dimensional Shambler comes from a dark and inhospitable dimension where the rarity of food sources keeps it in a state of permanent starvation. This is why it is in a constant state of readiness to travel to other dimensions in order to feed on its inhabitants. Make sure you never weaken the veils of your dimension, otherwise you risk attracting this very dangerous creature. Should this happen, you just have to lay eyes upon it for its being, to anchor itself in your dimension and to allow it to rip you open with its claw. Okay. Kenapa ada ni? Oh. Kenapa kita ada tempat menyorok? I'm not happy. Aku tak suka. Mesti ada something. What?
These artifacts date from pre-Columbian times.
Colombia. Hey. Sesuatu tu je. Oh, tu painting.
The man transformed an entire wing of his manor into an art gallery.
And he died because of his hobby. Oh, okay, nasib baik. What's this? Wow, besarnya. Oh my god, macam mana tak kena ni? Simpan barang-barang macam ni.
Why was he so interested in old weapons?
Bila dah masuk dunia. Oh. Waktu aku ada amari. Dia tak nak mata kan?
What the hell was that?
Oh.
There has to be a way. What the hell was that?
Kisah lain. Might be this.
Yeah, maybe I can use this dagger.
claustrophobia.
Damn it! This dagger didn't work.
Okay.
This dagger looks different.
Oh my god. Jangan.
What's the matter with you? You sure you won't be needing that hand? You're losing it, Detective. At this rate, you're right. The bottle will get you before I do.
You didn't see anything.
I saw you within an inch of putting a dagger through your forearm. Did I miss something more interesting?
Sanders was right. This painting is cursed.
What are you talking about?
I was attacked by a creature. I pushed it back, I think.
I think so too.
You knew. You knew about the beast.
What are you talking about? Think yourself lucky that I saved your hand, even if it was to save my goods.
You mean me?
Don't flatter yourself, sweetheart. I'm talking about the contents of this gallery. And by the way, where do you think you're going with that dagger?
It saved my life. It's an extraordinary dagger.
You should talk to Algernon Drake. He's an antique dealer here on Darkwater. He'll tell you all about it. From what I saw in the ledgers, it was him who sold it to Sanders.
This symbol on the dagger, it was all over Sanders' cell. It's what protected him. It's what protected me, too. If Hawkins was trying to get rid of this Shambler, she might have made contact with Drake. This antique dealer has a good knowledge of the occult. I have nothing to lose by meeting him.
You've got your spunk back. Go where you want. I'm staying here to talk business with Irene.
The nameless bookstore. The Shambler turned out to be much more than an artwork painted by Sarah Hawkins. As a huge creature came out of the painting to attack Pierce. After a hard fight, the detective managed to send it back into the painting. He later discovered that the dagger he used to repel the creature had been sold to Sanders by a man named Algernon Drake. Drake je lah, owner of the Nambler's bookstore. Pierce decides to pay the library a visit. Ada orang bunuh dia dah apa. I think he died.
Where is the bookseller? Freud's The Interpretation of Dreams. It's the work that laid the foundations of psychoanalysis at the beginning of this century.
This practical work, written by Sigmund Freud, a psychologist, describes the techniques of analytical interpretation of dreams. The analysis must follow several rules, especially that of free association, a principle announced by Freud at the end of the 19th century. It treats dreams as a way of revealing buried desire. I cannot believe that this theory is applicable to my nightmare.
Another volume of the Reverend's wife's diary.
The pastor declared himself to be the prophet. He renounced God and worshipped a strange pagan entity with a monstrous appearance. His wife tried to reason with her husband, but in vain. He was convinced that he must listen to this voice in his head because it holds the truth. A Puritan colony led by Reverend John Wigwood settled on the island during the 17th century. They named the island Darkwater because of the dark shades of the sea. They believe it was because of the peculiar color of the rock surrounding the island. They erected the first buildings, among which were the Hawkins Manor, the church, and the cemetery. The rare documents and handwritten notes of their lives spoke of nightmares and deviant behaviors. They disappeared at the beginning of the 18th century. A precise and illustrated with as much detail as the first volume. Even a few years back, it was possible for a single practitioner to know all the medical knowledge of his time. This book, which concludes the series, shows that it is now virtually impossible. In the 19th century, as the American whaling industry reached its peaks in the rest of the world, whales gradually disappeared from the waters surrounding Darkwater. This phenomenon appears even more mysterious because up till then, the region was a favored refuge for. In 1847, after months of pursuit, Scylla returns to port with a gigantic creature on board. Its crew assert that the sea monster had eaten all the disappeared whales. After a night of ferocious combat, the survivors managed to drag the beast onto the whaling ship. True.
What happened here? Let's start over. Where did they break in from?
From the door. The pintu ni.
Blood. Seems like amateur work. Someone tall left this footprint. A man, probably. No sign of struggle. If the burglar smashed this jar, it wasn't intentionally. Was he hurt then?
Dan masa buka pintu pun dia dah cedera. Maybe stick.
What killed all these animals? What sort of thief leaves his tools at the crime scene?
Gambar ni tak elok.
What happened that made the burglar flee before finishing his work? What the... Charles Hawkins? Looks like the symbol rejected Hawkins. What sort of power did Sarah Hawkins' painting possess?
Aku tahu.
Sarah Hawkins helped hide something in this safe. Drake put in a great deal of effort to hide whatever is in here. Everything is linked to the Sarah Hawkins case. Drake left instructions on how to find the combination of his safe.
If somebody finds these memories, there will be no doubt that I am in serious trouble. My last and only hope is that my body and bones are still in this plane of reality. In order that they be recovered and burned, the funeral urn must be given to my dear mother, if she is still of this world. The following message is of capital importance. Whoever reads these lines and demonstrates acuity as sharp as mine can hope to gain access to my most precious possession. It lies within my safe, and the clues to the combination are to be found in 3 cylinders, each hidden where life and study combine in the great world. Each cylinder is numbered, or even if, as the celebrated author says, order is the pleasure of reason, but disorder is the delight of the imagination. Indeed, despite my preference for organized chaos, I must admit that reason usually prevails in the end. If by chance a person, or should I say a genius, was to match my intellect and find the combination of the safe, I will ask that they deliver its content into the safekeeping of my friend and colleague, Professor Armitage of Miskatonic University. The content of this safe is not only a vast digest of knowledge, but also a weapon that is far too dangerous for it to fall into the wrong hands. I hope that you will be able to appreciate the danger that this represents, and that you will be act accordingly. In any event, I will neither be there to guide you nor to suffer from your actions. Cylinder.
Is everyone on this island taking sleeping pills?
Oh, that's why. Kita kata dah.
What link did he find between Charles Hawkins and an old amulet?
This key that bears the elder signs, the only one able to protect your size. It is in the form of a cylindrical medallion hanging at the end of a heavy chain. Hundreds of years ago, the star and the branch, whose purpose is to push back the forces of the Great Old Ones, were engraved at its center. Everything points to it being Charles Hawkins that tore it from its last owner, an Egyptian, an antique dealer. In press cuttings that mention the misdemeanor, the date of the robbery coincides with the last of Hawkins' trips off to Cairo. It remains to be seen whether he knows of the true purpose of the artifact. Try to find it. Two. What should I do? Maybe this one. Psychology. I can do psychology. Cylindrical. Ooh.
Arkham editions. Never heard of him.
Ya Allah, banyaknya.
How many volumes are there in this collection? Another volume by Arkham Editions.
Ni apa dah? Aku tidak
Arkham
pandai sangat.
Editions. Never heard of him.
Limon,
How many volumes are there in this collection?
8. Ni 8.
Another volume by Arkham Editions.
No,
Arkham Editions.
ni 6.
Never heard of him. How many volumes are there in this collection?
4. 4, 8, 6.
Another volume by Arkham Editions.
1. Ni nombor 1.
Arkham Editions.
Ni 2.
Never heard of him. How many volumes are there in this collection?
Urban.
Cylinders that Drake tried to hide. I should perhaps listen to them.
Oh ni, Drake cylinder.
And these red drops, like precious stones, lie fixed, set in divine gold. To be the guardian of the Grail does not protect me from its attractions, Henry. And I do confess it. I am willing to pay to know its secrets. I finally understood that we were only pieces on the chessboard of the gods. Let those of us who are still standing protect our White Queen from their dark soldiers. I see our number dwindling, and my will strengthens as my apprehension grows. We shall refuse to be the playthings of destiny. Dear friend, I thank you again for the anthology of the works of Arkham Editions that you sent me. Volume 9, Azathoth and Other Horrors, seemed particularly relevant to my research. I never tire of browsing through them. And these red drops, like precious stones, lie fixed, set in divine gold. To be the guardian of the Grail does not protect me from its attractions, Henry. And I do confess it. I am willing to pay to know its secrets.
So, ada kaitan
The
dengan
Queen
si
has
buat.
little protection. The Queen has little protection.
And the Grail. Pasal mesti nampak tadi. Volume 9.
Drake talked about a particular volume.
Volume 9.
So these are the volumes that Drake was talking about in his message.
Volume 9.
What did Drake say about this collection?
Kita ada 1, 2, 3, 4.
Drake talked about a particular volume.
4.
So these are the volumes that Drake was talking about in his message.
7. 5. Tapi tak boleh tekan. 5.
What did Drake say about this collection?
6. Ni 5. Ni
Drake
4.
talked about a particular volume. So these are the volumes that Drake was talking about in his message.
9. Yes. Other thoughts and other horrors. Also known as the Nightmare Lyrics, this collection of poems was essentially received 1908. So what happened? Satu lagi. Oh ni, satu lagi ni.
The Chalice of Knowledge.
Rubies and sapphire, specific motif.
The Book of Zion is the foundational work behind Helena Blavatsky's Theosophical movement. Its followers place truth on the same footing as a religion.
Theosophy. Nameless.
What does this strange book contain? This book contains unholy knowledge.
Okay. Betul. Betul. Yeay. Betul. Mudah je. Dia queen tu ada 3 pelindung. And then kita kira ruby red tu ada 5 biji. And then last sekali buku yang ke-9. So ikut urutan silinder tu 5, 3, 9. Wow. Wow. The book. In the nameless bookstore, Pierce traced the trail of an attempted burglary. He discovered that Charles Hawkins was behind the attempt. Pierce opened the bookseller's safe to find what the letter and Sarah Hawkins had hidden there. A book covered in human skin lay inside. Irresistibly attracted the detective. When he opened it, his mind was projected into another body. Sarah tu. Sarah punya skin. Boleh jadi mayat Sarah pun tak jumpa kan. Tak mustahil Sarah terhidup lagi.
Dr. Colden, this man's condition is deteriorating.
What says Dr. Fuller? It's his patient, after all.
He's busy with Captain Fitzroy. He specifically asked us not to bother him when that's the case.
Oh, of course. I'll see what I can do. Mr. Blake, can you hear me? I'm Dr. Colden. We'll take care of you.
There's nothing we can do. I tried talking to him. He's catatonic.
Did you inject him with a tranquilizer?
No, Doctor. Not me, not anyone. Our stock is empty, yet again.
Again? But there was enough for the whole island.
More and more people are suffering from insomnia. We can't refuse to help.
Of course.
Any idea what this man might be undergoing?
What can you tell me about him?
He was highly agitated an hour ago. We were about to tie him down when he fell asleep. 10 minutes ago, he curled up into a fetal position. I thought he was waking up, but no.
I don't recognize him. Did he just arrive on the island?
He said he worked on the docks, but not with Captain Fitzroy. I think he works for Ms. Baker.
Who?
You know, the woman at the head of their gang. They call her Cat.
Oh, I see.
Do you have other questions?
What are his symptoms?
His temperature has been going down, his skin losing its color, his body rigid. I closed his eyes myself. They were glassing over. I didn't want them to dry out, and I couldn't bear to look at the expression on his face.
You did well. Don't worry. Let's stay professional, if you will. Show me his file.
That's not possible.
Don't tell me Dr. Fuller has taken this file as well. We need it.
That's why I called you. This man's ailment has been hidden from us.
Come on now. What was he treated for?
An intoxication, I was told. After inhaling chemicals.
That'll do for the time being.
Any idea what this man might be undergoing?
Very well. I'll examine him. 30-year-old subject. Severe hypothermia. Erythematous papules around the eyes and eardrums. Necrosed palpebral tissue. Lord, this smell. His skin shows abnormal loss of color and seems dried out. He's totally dehydrated. His fingertips and toes seem to feature a slight ring under the skin, tender at the touch, slightly sticky. Severe malnutrition. Swollen abdomen with traces of petechia. Doesn't seem like an edema. Slight protuberances seem to indicate the presence of a foreign body.
So, Doctor, an opinion?
I'm not sure I have the necessary knowledge to treat this man.
Don't say that. You're our most worthy doctor after Dr. Fuller.
Some of his symptoms are beyond my comprehension.
What did you find?
Did you examine his abdomen? It would seem there's something inside.
He hasn't eaten in days. Are you certain it's not an edema?
No. Can't you recognize an edema? Pushing with your finger won't leave a trace. And look at these bumps.
It's not like he could be pregnant.
Whatever it is, this man has something inside him that shouldn't be there. We should operate on him at once.
Dr. Fuller said not to worry, that the edema would go away by itself.
You know, I'm not sure Dr. Fuller is telling the truth. In spite of the muscle contractions, his arms seem limp.
Yes. They can't have decalcified, not at this rate.
And yet, if there is a bone in this arm, it's softer than that of a newborn baby. What about his cranium?
It's soft at the touch. It does seem like the skull of a baby.
Look at these sticky rings growing at his fingertips. What can be happening?
I'm sure you'll find an explanation. You have to.
I see signs of hypodermoclysis, but he's still dehydrated. When was his last IV?
He's constantly under perfusion. I've even gone beyond the recommended dose to no avail. And you won't believe me, but when we bathed him earlier...
He seemed to feel better?
Yes. Like he needs an aquarium, not a perfusion. But that doesn't explain his condition.
Semua bertukar jadi seafood.
I almost don't believe it myself, but these symptoms are not those usually associated with the human species.
What do you mean? Don't tell me you believe in extraterrestrials.
No. This poor man is from our world, all right. But his body is undergoing unnatural mutations. And this transformation is killing him. His body simply can't cope.
Where could he have gotten such an
Buat
infection?
eksperimen
I
ni.
pray that it's not here.
Dr. Colden, may I know what you're doing to my patient?
What I'm doing? How about what you've done to him?
Let us calm down, my dear Marie. I don't appreciate your tone, nor your insinuations. I've done to him what I do to all my patients. Provide him with the best available care.
Your imagination is without limit. It's your homemade drug again, is it not? Those people are not your guinea pigs.
There, there. What have you seen to put you in such a state?
His limbs? His body temperature? I don't know what experiments you've undertaken, but this is going too far.
Oh, I sense some excitement beneath your indignation. Could it be you wish to join me in my scientific endeavors?
You are a brilliant physician, Dr. Fuller, but this man has the attributes of some kind of animal.
Fascinating. An animal, you say? Could you be more precise? Cephalopod, perhaps?
This amuses you.
Tak rasa bersalah
Your
langsung.
reaction does. I know your thirst for knowledge, Doctor. It's your innocent worries for this man that have you overreacting.
For this man, and the others whose medical files you've been hiding.
I have to protect my discovery. These people owe me their life, but the world isn't ready yet. It will be, in time.
I will not let you do this.
You disappoint me, Marie, but I still have hope you'll one day share my point of view. In the meantime, take care of your own patients and try not to forget who you're dealing with.
Was that a threat? What did he mean?
It was a warning. Dr. Fuller is this institution's founder and one of our profession's most influential voices. My word is of no weight against his. If I continue to protest, I will only ruin my reputation and career.
It's scandalous. Can't we do anything? Is there no evidence of his crimes?
Oh, that evidence exists. I'm sure of it. I need to find the missing medical files.
And where would you find those? In his office? What if you get caught?
I'd rather not think about that. I'm counting on your discretion.
Of course, Doctor. You can count on me. I'll keep Mum.
Okay, Mum. So, dalam badan aku lelaki tu masuk dalam badan perempuan ni ke?
Chronic insomnia. Like half the island.
Patut semua makan ubat tidur.
This place draws you in and never lets you go.
September. October 28.
The answers must be hidden in Fuller's office.
He says it. She's a witch, an old hag. I didn't make this up. And I'm the one who pays. What a pest. It's so unfair.
It's temperamental, if I understand correctly. Elizabeth? You all right? Why is this room in such a state?
Because, as always, I'm cleaning it by myself. And the water was once again shut off this morning. I had to bother Mrs. Donovan again, giving her a new excuse to belittle me.
Do you really need Mrs. Donovan to open a valve? Why not ask the janitor?
I can't make these decisions without her approval. Imagine if there were a leak. Anyhow, the boiler room is locked half the time. So every time the water gets shut off, I have to go and endure her reproach until she's settled the problem.
I see. Courage, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Doctor. Everything all right, Dr. Colden?
All is well, Elizabeth, thank you. I was making sure the water wasn't cut off yet again.
Thank God, no. The water's running. I have no desire to call Donovan for help.
Come now. Don't let that witch sap your morale.
I'm trying, Doctor. I'm trying. It's just that sometimes I imagine she shuts down the water herself, just for the pleasure of harassing me.
Her time is much too precious for these kind of petty games. Courage, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Doctor.
Bagi mandi. What's this?
I have little time for you, Doctor. You'll find out that it's not only the doctors who have things to do. I have little time for you, Doctor. You'll find out that it's not only the doctors who have things to do. Wait a minute. Where do you think you're going? Dr. Colden.
Mrs. Donovan.
Nobody goes into Dr. Fuller's office. But rest assured, I'll tell him you came by.
That won't be necessary. Thank you.
I will tell him, nonetheless. Wait a minute. Where do you think you're going? Dr. Colden.
Mrs. Donovan.
No, but rest. I will.
Let's hope I can go through the administration office.
Hey. Ingat hero tu. Boiler room.
The door to the boiler room is locked. I have to get the key if I wish to get rid of Donovan.
No, you're pulling my leg. I'm not joking. I saw the schedule. She's alone in the bathroom again. And she still says nothing to that old witch, Donovan?
Oh, listen to the way you talk, you naughty girl. And the answer is no. You can imagine that she doesn't dare say a thing. That silly goose lets herself be trodden on.
Oh well, at least we won't have to clean for a while.
And just wait and see the next time the water's cut off. It's a real show.
The doses prescribed by Fuller are far too high. We're running out of this medicine.
I know, Doctor. We sent the purchase order, though, and Mrs. Donovan refused it.
Once again.
Can't you do anything?
Donovan takes her instructions directly from Dr. Fuller. I'm afraid I can do nothing about it for the moment. We've been waiting to be restocked for weeks.
Watch out for the water, Doctor.
Gentlemen, may I help you?
We're waiting on news regarding our mother, Maureen Harding. She came in with a kidney problem, but we haven't heard anything since.
I'm sorry. Dr. Fuller is a very busy man.
Well, is there anyone else who can tell us what's going on?
She's our only family, you know? And we can't even see her medical file.
Don't worry. I'm aware our institution is not always welcoming. But your mother is in good hands. I'll tend to her myself, and keep you informed at once. Would that suit you?
Well, that sure sounds great to us, Doctor. Thank you.
But those are just words, so we're not budging.
Very well. At least I'll know where to find you. Patients and hospital personnel eat the same food.
Cantiknya.
Doctor, please. My chest. Oh.
His perfusion of a semi-physiological solution doesn't seem to work. He's undergoing a ventricular fibrillation. Nurse? Deborah, come and help me, please. His potassium level is too high. Replace it with 2% glucose solution with insulin, calcium, and sodium bicarbonate.
I'll tend to it right away.
Thank you. He's in your hands. Hay fever. What's he doing here?
Ah, the whaling station. What's wrong with me?
What are you talking about?
Doctor, that you?
Yes, it's Dr. Colden. Tell me what happened.
It's the old whaling station. See?
What did you see there?
Nothing. Nothing at all. The floor was all rotten and I fell straight through.
And that's how you broke your back?
Perhaps. No idea. Passed out. I'll just sleep a bit more.
He broke his back in an accident down by the docks. Ah, so there's Harding. She's still sleeping. Given her file, a nephrectomy would have been inevitable. But Fuller was able to save her kidney.
Oh.
The key to the boiler room. All I have to do is shut off the water and hope Donovan takes the bait.
Dr. Colden?
Intoxication from breathing organic vapors.
Dr. Colden, here you are at last. This patient was again brought up to the psychiatric wing. We've been following the treatment you prescribed, but the dysgeusia persists and he's lost a great deal of weight. We haven't been able to move him. The stress makes him hyperallergic.
Sir, I'm going to examine you. Do you understand? Inject him with a dose of pentobarbital, intramuscular, so that I can conduct the clinical examination. He bit his lips so much, they're still bleeding. White froth, evidently because of such drooling.
Sian.
His binds left bloody wounds.
So, Doctor, what should we do with this patient?
Those basement brutes tied him up too tight, and now he's hurt.
I keep trying to heal his wounds, but he reopens them.
Do you have a diploma as a nurse?
Excuse me?
So take care of this man. Why did nobody tell me about her admission?
Oh, Iron Sanders. Enter the Riverside Institute. Oh.
Mrs. Sanders?
Oh, dia masuk pula dah.
Dr. Colden?
Another insomniac. I should find the cause for such a widespread trouble.
So, Doctor, have you been able to examine our mother?
I've tended to her, and I have good news. Her blood analysis is reassuring. Her kidneys are as new.
Are you talking about the same person? This is miraculous.
She's still recovering, but you may speak to her upon her awakening.
Oh, thank you so much, Doctor. We'll wait
You're
for her to
welcome.
wake up. We've been here since this morning, so it won't make a difference.
It's a quiet little town. Days go by, steady as ever. I wanted more for myself, but... It's a quiet little town. Days go by, steady as ever.
I don't get why they have us waiting so long. Almost no patients here. I don't get why they have us waiting so long. Almost no patients here.
Dr. Colden, do you want something? I think that you're needed in Block B, Doctor. Please, I'll be in trouble with Mrs. Donovan if I'm late. Do you want something?
This man, Edward Pierce, his file is incomplete. What did Fuller do to him?
Thank you for your help, Doctor.
Thank you. I'll be going. In theory, this is where we hang the key to the boiler room. Dr. Fuller always keeps his key with him.
Sorry, but nobody can take anything until I finish the inventory. Please, the fewer interruptions there are, the faster I'll be finished.
Where did my fiancé go? I hope those nutcases will stop burdening her with work.
Which one is you?
I don't get why they have us waiting so
you.
long. Almost no patients here.
Ethan,
Marie,
what are you doing here?
I'm waiting for my medication, of course. Why?
Tell me your symptoms.
I have headaches. And I can't sleep.
Do you suffer from insomnia?
No. Look, I don't want you to laugh at me.
Ethan, if you don't trust me, then who?
I have nightmares. They keep me awake every night. It seems stupid, I know, but they're terrible.
Just dengan
Actually,
nightmare.
you're not the only one.
No. No one has ever seen the things I see. It's like I'm turning mad.
So many people have this affliction. It's like an epidemic.
Do you think it might be related to Fuller's work?
I don't know yet, but I will figure all this out. Everyone in Darkwater is suffering from nightmares.
Really?
We don't have any medication left.
Oh, there's no excuse then. I should let you work.
Take care, Ethan.
You too, Marie.
The operating room is never accessible after an operation. I can't shut this with my bare hands. I need a tool.
Okay guys, kita akan cari tools adat untuk buka tutup air boiler dekat boiler room tu nanti di next episode. Korang apa suka video kali ni? Kalau apa suka, give a like. Jadi jumpa hampa di next episode of The Call of Cthulhu. Terima kasih kerana menonton. Bye.